Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude and part 4 of the Meng 1/35 scale Jagdpanther Ausf G1. So in the last episode, part 3, I worked on steps 4 through 7. So I installed all the swing arms, installed the radiator fans in the rear hull upper plate, and then I put the whole supporting superstructure on the lower hull. Did the fenders, the rear plate for the inertia starter, and built the jack. Then the next part was supposed to be to put the wheels on, attach the jack, and do the tracks. So here's where I deviated from the instructions. Because I like to paint the vehicles with the wheels and tracks off of the hull so I can paint it really good, do some weathering, and then attach everything. I pondered what I was going to do, and I decided that I was not going to use the kit tracks because that makes that a little bit harder. It's doable, but it makes it a little bit harder. And I forgot, well, I didn't really forget, but, well, yeah, I guess I did forget, that I had some Kaizen Panther tracks of the same type as the ones that come in the kit. And I decided I had gotten them for another kit, but they were the wrong, they were late model tracks, and I needed early model tracks, so I didn't use them. So I kept them for a future project, and it looks like this is that future project. So as you can see, they fit splendidly, and these tracks are really nice. They're really easy to build. The detail is really good, and you know, being individual length workable tracks, I'll be able to get the sag really nicely, and more importantly, I'll be able to assemble them and install them after this is completely done. So that is the plan. So with that decision made, I can move on to step number 9, which starts with assembling the front plate. So first parts I need C52, E2, and A15. So let's find those. So we have C52. So just like any other videos, and I'm repeating this as I do at the beginning of all of my videos, for those who may just be joining in, I will demonstrate how I clean stuff up on the first few parts, and then I'll do the rest off of camera, so I'm not wasting a bunch of time and boring everybody to tears by doing the same stuff repetitively, because once you see how I do it, you pretty much get the idea. So first thing I do, using my nice sharp Tamiya cutters here, cut all the sprue gates off, being careful not to damage the detail. Then, using my Infini model sanding sticks, in this case the 400 grit, sand any burr off left from removing the sprue gate, like that. Then I'll use my little skinny sanding stick here, can't remember the brand, to remove that part there. So I want to have a nice joint right there. So the next part I need is A15 and E2. A15. Oh, also, I've almost forgot, I need to do some drilling. On these instructions, if I'm doing versions 1, 2, or 3, I need to drill some extra holes here, and apparently I am supposed to cut that off. So I'm going to double check my reference here. I have to cut these two little lines off right there underneath this this periscope opening. So I better get my drill out first and do that. So the first holes I need to drill are these two here to the left of that periscope opening. And those are 0.8 millimeters. So I'm using numbered bits, so I just check them. And what I do is I take the base of the, not the drilling end, but the other, and just fit it and see how it fits in the hole. As long as it's snug, I know I've got the right one. So just drill through there like that. And then I have to drill 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8 little teeny tiny holes. Those are 0.4 millimeter. And then I also need to drill 1.1 millimeter hole here and here. So after I drill all those little holes, then I take my knife, and on the exit side where there's like a little ridge left over, I just trim it off with a sharp blade. That way it gives a nice clean hole like that. It's better than sanding because I'm not going to damage any of the what you call rolled steel surface texture. So there, just like that. So now I need to drill the larger holes in the sides. Now this one here, I'm trying to drill it perpendicular to the actual bit of plastic that I'm going through. So hopefully I can do that, because I'd hate for it to go through crooked and look all dumb. Success. So the next thing I need to do is glue the periscope, which is E2, which is a clear part. How do you do that, say you? Well, let me show you. In order to be able to glue this in and keep it from getting messed up by paint, this is how I handle clear periscopes. So we'll see if I can do this. I'll get my noggin in the way. First, I cut a very little skinny thin strip of Tamiya tape, like that. Then cut one end square like that. Then I eyeball how big it is, like that. Get that little piece like that. And put it on there like that. Now, the real trick is remembering it's there. And taking it off once the whole project's done and you've done your painting and weathering. And it's real easy to take it off. Just use some sharp tweezers or the tip of the knife or whatever. But that is what I do. So I just put that in there like that. I can glue it in place. with the world. And yes, I use Tamiya extra thin and hope that it doesn't bleed up into my tape. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry for a minute. I'll set that right there like that, and then cut off the other part, which is a 15. A 15 right there. Whoops. It's the inside portion of the ball mount for the machine gun, the bow machine gun. All right, so that goes like that. So before I glue that, I need to get rid of a little bit of flash around where the ejector pin marks are. Like that. Place there. Some glue. Make sure it's pressed firmly in place. And ta-da! That's that. So that is ready to go on here. And we got a nice snug fit, it looks like, and it goes underneath those simulated weld beads. So let's see if I can do this without knocking those parts I just glued into place off. Alright, so I got the front plate glued in, and I don't know if I adjusted something incorrectly or something, but I did have to sand this down right here a bit in order to get it to fit properly. So then in test fitting this before I start drilling the holes in this side plate, everything fits okay except for right there I have a bit of a gap. So I'm having to come up with some creative clamping. Now what I did first of all is I shaved this down in here a bit using this round edged blade. This curved blade, just to thin it out a little bit, see if I can get it to fit a little tighter. I just kind of did it evenly on the whole thing. And I'm sure this is probably one of those cases where if one little thing is not quite right somewhere else, that once it all adds up to a certain area, then you can end up with something like this. But see, that's even better still. But using one of these clamps, I'll be able to clamp it like this across. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but and that should hold it into place. I already tested it once. And it gets it down in there. Of course, now, you know, I'm not going to be able to do it while it's on camera. That's the way it usually works, or doesn't work. There we go. So I'll be able to clamp it, and I'll glue this part down here first, and then I'll worry about lining this stuff up here, which lines up fine. But before I do all that, I need to drill all of the holes in the side for the version I'm doing. So on this plate here, I need to drill all these little tiny holes out, and I think those are for the I also need to do this one, 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 and this one. So all these real tiny ones, I think, are for the foliage hooks or loops or whatever they are that this particular vehicle had on it. They're welded on the outside, and that way they could run wire on it and attach foliage to it. So I got to drill all those on that side. Then I have to do all of the same thing on this side. One, two, three, four, five. Pretty much all these bleeding holes on this thing I have to drill out for this particular vehicle. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much every single hole on here has to be drilled out. So I'm going to work on that for a while, and I will come back and start gluing these side plates on. Alright, so I finally got this part squeezed together. As you can see, there's no seam there, and it all worked out great. So now I've got this glued here, so now I can move on to the back part and the center here. So for that, I'm going to use my quick set. Let's see, what am I going to do first? I think I might glue this part back here first. After I get this bit of debris out of here. Okay, so let's run some cement down that. Hold that part there first. So that's nice and solid. So now I'm going to do this up here. Tack that together. I'm holding this. I just want to point out that I like the way that Meng engineered this to where this part right here is the front plate, and so it looks like it interlocks. A lot of times manufacturers just have a seam right here, and it never really quite ends up looking right. This one looks like it's supposed to, with this plate overlapping and interlocking into this plate with welds around there. So just a quick observation there about how groovy that is. So now I'll just run some cement there and make sure that's nice and snug. The nice thing about quick setting is stuff like this doesn't take as long. You don't have to sit and hold it forever. And then the last thing I want to do for this side is run a nice bead of cement along that there. So I'm going to kind of hold it in place. I'll probably use some clamps on this once I get it all in position. So let's see. Whoops. Like that. Some more down here. Whoa. And then last, some right there, like that. I'm gonna have to reach over and grab my other clamp. This one doesn't have rubber pads on it, but I'm soon gonna remedy that. But like that. So we'll let that dry up for a few minutes while I get the other parts ready. All right, so the next part I need to cut off, now that side is done, is I need to cut the rear plate of the upper hull, which is D4. So that is right here. All right, so first thing I need to do is drill some more holes. So for version 1, I need to drill, actually, I don't need to drill any holes. All I need to do is remove those two little ridges, which I still have to do up front as well. So let me do that. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to use my knife. I'm not going to sand it because I don't want to, as I say all the time, mar the finish around it. So nice sharp blade like that. And should be good to go. So then this little piece here fits right down in there, so it takes a little bit of flexing of the side. That's why I want to make sure that was nice and dried up and cured well. And then so that all fits really well. So I think what I'll do, I think I'm going to glue this side here first, and then I will install this piece here. Now I've already test fit this, and I don't have the same situation on this side as I did on the other. It just all fits nicely, no problems, all the way to the back. So I won't have any weirdness going on there. So let's put this back in position here, put that there. And just make sure it's lined up. Make sure that this edge right here is lined up and nice and straight. So I'll hold that in position and make sure all the gaps are closed up, and put the cement there. Make sure it's lined up like that. Looks good. All right, so that's good right there. Now I am going to put a little bit of cement down here to make sure that is closed up nicely. Don't want to see any gaps or anything. Okay, and the way I'm going to do this one is I'm going to hold it from right here, make sure it's pressed up snug against the engine deck there, and then using my long brush so I can reach all that. Just like that. Just applying downward pressure so it's pushing it into the angle between this plate and this part here. Just like that. Okay, so just like the other side, I'm going to do this bottom seam here first and anchor it with this. This one doesn't take the pressure the other side did, but I still want to hold it in place so it gets nice, fills in all the little bitty seams and stuff. Okay, so next I'm going to glue these seams here and mash them together real good. Like that. And you really can't push them too far because there is a stop on the inside that helps keep you from caving one in over the other. And then I can glue this part here. So I'm going to do the same thing as before, glue it from the inside, like that, and make sure this part stays lined up here. That one went together real easily. I missed a. So, I don't know if you noticed, but in the instructions, I did drill some holes. These holes here, I shouldn't have drilled out, so I'm going to have to plug those. I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a little while. I'm going to get all this stuff done first. So next part I'll do is in here. Actually, I think I'll do the outside first. I think I'll do this first. This is all like really snug, so I don't have to worry about clamping anything. You know what? I'm going to do the back first. So there and there, and hold that together. This is all going really quick. It's almost real time, but go ahead. Whoops. Okay, got a little on the surface I shouldn't have, but it doesn't matter because it's underneath. And then last on the inside, which doesn't really need that much, but always best to play it safe. Do I need the clamp? Probably not, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Just because I like clamping stuff. So I don't know if I mentioned it before, but if you don't have any of these clamps, you just don't know what you're missing out on. These are some good clamps. All right, so that's all of that. So we'll let that dry for a few minutes. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you kind of a good way to, you know, plug a hole that you don't want. So what I did is I got some sprue, using this candle, heated it up, stretched it, clipped it off. And then I'm simply going to do this. Put that right there like that. And bingo. I'll let that dry really good, and then I will clip it off and smooth it out, and all that kind of stuff. This way it fits in there. You don't have any cavities. You don't have to worry about filling it with, you know, filler, putty, anything like that. Okay, we're back up to some smaller work, so I'll zoom it in. So here's what we got to do now. We've got these tie down loop assemblies, X23, and that, my friends, is photo etch. So I gotta see how those work. Okay, so I'm zooming back in here since we're doing small stuff. Now, we've got X parts, which is photo etch. So these are the little loop things for camouflage foliage and stuff like that. So I'm not going to put those on yet because those are small and fragile. I'm going to save that as one of the last things. So I will do this X7 here, which is this part right here. So first thing I need to do is I need to cut this off. Now, in one of my earlier videos, I demonstrated how I did photo etch, and it was kind of a convoluted process, but I don't do that anymore. I cut it right on my mat. I just use my good old handy dandy knife marked photo etch, and I just do it right here. Now, I don't know if you can tell, I think you can, there is a plastic film on here, and I'm leaving that on there, and here's why. Because it keeps, actually I could peel the top off and leave the bottom. It helps keep the pieces, actually I'm just going to leave it, from flying off into oblivion when you're cutting them. It's a nice way to keep really small pieces in place so they don't get lost when they're being removed from the fret. So hopefully I can get this off here. I gotta cut through all of it. Now again, some people don't like cutting photo etch on cutting mat because it can bend it. I have found that I don't have that problem. Not because I'm super dude or anything like that. It's just that I like to be very careful, slow, and deliberate when doing it. So let me peel that film off, then we'll glue it on. So once I have the part cut out, using my Tamiya bending pliers and a file or a sanding stick, I just sand the burr off like that. And then I spin it around. And I try to get it in the pliers, and I'm having trouble here, like usual. That. And then gently, without bending it, sand that one off. And then got one more on the other side. Like that. So it's ready to go. So now I need to glue it right here, but it's got some dimples here that are supposed to fit in those holes, but obviously they don't because these dimples are a lot bigger than those holes. So I'll just use my knife and enlarge in the holes a little bit. So this will sit flush. Check and make sure it does sit flush. It does, so now I can glue it on there. And I think for this one, I'm going to use, I'm gonna make this one a little bit larger. Whoops. I'm going to use my Gator's Grip Hobby Glue. All it is like a really thick, like PVA. It's acrylic hobby glue. The nice thing is if you get too much on there, it wipes off with water. This, and this is the nice thing about this, is you don't have to worry about it setting up so bleeding fast you can't get it positioned properly. Just like that. Cool. So that takes care of step 11. So now we can move on to step 12. All right, with that glued in place, I now need to glue all these small parts on. So let's start with let's go with the two F-33s, which are the toe clevises. Here. And here. Get those glued in place. Remembering to keep the eye bolt facing in. Quick little dab of the glue. Thusly. And then, let's see, I need A9 for this side, A10 for this side. So let's find A9 right here. And A10 for this side. So it fits right there like that. So then I need to carefully glue it and hopefully not make it move. Like that. It's like a little hinged part. So there's that one. And this one, same thing. Need to sand the bottom of this one off a little bit. Whatever I did on that side to make things wonky is keeping this from seating properly. Let's see how that works. A little better, but not quite, so I think. It's a little better, but still not quite right. So let me monkey around with this a little bit. All right, There we go. Get a little bit of cement on there. Like that. Let that dry. Alright, so let's see. So I got a 9 and 10 glued in place, F33s. So now I gotta do the headlights. So we need a 12, 35, and 42. So oh man, let's see. Oh, there we go. So there's 42. And let's see. Now that's kind of cool. Now this is a real fragile part. That's why good cutters are really helpful. And 35 right there. So what's cool is the headlight mount actually has a wire. That's really slick. Oh yeah. Yep, that is pretty neat. Because oftentimes, especially on older kits, you have to, if you want to have an electrical lead on there, you got to build it yourself, or fabricate it yourself, I should say. And that can be quite a bummer. No, it's not hard, but it's just kind of nice that manufacturers are starting to include that kind of stuff. Okay, so that fits right there. Hooray, but there's a little bit of flash from an ejector pin mark underneath there. So I need to get that, and then need to carefully sand where I cut it there. Sweet. Did it without breaking it. I am a hero. Okay, so there's that. So now let's put a little dab of cement on it. You know what? I think I'll glue it from underneath. That way it won't do anything weird up top. Cool. And clean these off. All right, so I got those. So let's another kind of nice thing is there's a slot there to match a tab there, which makes making sure that that little slit there is level so much easier. Because boy, that's always something that's just can be a harrowing experience, is getting that level. Okay, and then there's like a little half moon shaped hole with a matching half moon shaped pin, and that sucker's nice and tight. Alright, so there's the headlight. So now, the only other thing is the bolt cutters, but those don't go on top on this kit because I'm doing version 1. So that finishes step 12. So now we need to do the exhaust. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm doing version 1, so this is the one I'm going to be doing. So let's get some parts cut off. So I need B1, B1, B37, A4, see, B6 and B7. Put these here. And A48. And now it's time for a little cleanup. One thing I am going to do is I am going to drill these out a little bit more. They're already hollowed out, but I want to thin it out a little bit more, and it should be really easy since there's already, yeah. This makes it look just a little bit more to scale as far as the thickness of the pipe, and I'll just drill out the depth a little bit. So we got the one, this one here is the one I drilled out. It just looks a little bit better. So, all right, so the first thing I need to do is I need to glue this thing in here like this. It's kind of a tight fit, so let's get something that we can. There we go, just like that. Put a little bit of the old cemento in there. Thusly. Glues there. It's kind of a C shape and then a reversed C shape, so it glues together like that. That is really weird. So I'm going to kind of hold it in place like this. Make sure it's kind of square looking, and that fits together really good. You can't even see the little seam. piece. And then yeah, now see, these are D-shaped with a, like a, well, not really D-shaped. It's got a sharp edge on the bottom, roundish edge on the rest of it. I'm going to let this dry really good before I go trying to glue that other part on. So I've got these in position, but I'm not actually going to glue them yet because I want to make sure, I want to do it all at once. I want to put it on the back of the vehicle, and then because these are supposed to butt up against the back plate and glue into place, so I'm going to wait on that. They're there and ready to go. So the next thing I need to get is these pieces here, B2, B33, 37, and A48, and then also B38. So those are the other exhaust parts. So let's get those. All right, so I've got all these parts cut out, so let's do this first. This one goes in here, just like on the other one. And I'll use this just like I did before. That doesn't even need to be glued, honestly. That thing is in there tight. Tight, tight. Okay, and then that goes on there just like it did on the other one. Oh, this one's gonna be again, the fit on this part is really good. Okay, so we got that, and then okay, this ultra tiny piece goes on the bottom of this cast portion here. So I'm gonna use my little bit thicker, a little bit slower setting. Oh man. Regular to me, extra thin. There we go. It's a very tiny part. Put a little bit more cement on there just to make sure it sets up properly. Okay, so set this aside and let that dry. So then these two parts here go in these holes I had to drill earlier on. Just got to make sure these are free of debris. And they are a very snug fit, so that's cool. So one there. One there. Make sure they're parallel. And then okay, let that cure up a bit. Okay, I glued that one on, and once that sets up a bit, I'll glue these. But in the meantime, I will glue this one here. Like that. So I want to pry this up just a little bit so the cement will flow underneath. And then put a little bit of cement on this here, these brackets. Like that. Alright, so that's in. So now I need to glue these in. Like that. Like that. And a little bit of glue right there. And then, whoa, and then let's do the same thing here, hopefully. If I can get a grip on this piece. There we go. And glue that there. And there. Just like that. Okay. So there's the exhaust. So that takes care of step 13. So I think with the end of step 13, I'm going to call it the end on this video. I don't want to get too long. Don't want to talk too much. Get my hands out of the way, all that kind of stuff. So next time when we come back, I'll be working on step 14. We'll go on from there depending on how long it takes to do it. So as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the Meng 1/35 scale Jagdpanther G1. As always, if you have any hints, tips, suggestions, anything like that, put them in the comments section down below, and I'll respond to you as quick as I can. So until next time, I will see you all later.